And anyone who says you have to have an exam when you don't want to, they're actually lying. Okay? Because consent matters. And consent matters in a doctor's office and outside of a doctor's office.
Welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb, a community of folks like yourselves who are getting ready and staying ready for their next chapter. Well, today we are specifically talking to menstruating people and the folks who love us, because my guest today is a pediatric and adolescent gynecologist who not only changes the lives of her patients, but also brings her knowledge and comprehensive digestible advice to social media as the period doctor. I love this woman. Now, after recognizing an unmet need for medically accurate women's health information and minority physician representation in social media outlets, she launched this platform. Dr. Charis Chambers, welcome to Come Back with Erica Cobb. I remember my first visit to the OBGYN, and I had a very traumatic experience because it hurt, and I had never really experienced anything down there before. And she shamed me and told me that I needed to be an adult and that it's not that big of a deal, but it was a big deal. And when I walked away from it, I felt like, to be honest, I felt violated. So do you hear of experiences from young women that really affects how you relate to your patients?
Absolutely. And so one of the most telling situations is when I'm talking to a teen and their mom is looking at me like, are you kidding me? And it's not that they're upset with me. They're so blown away that their daughter gets to have this experience because they're having flashbacks to what their experience was. And they've also prepped their daughter according to their experience. So they've said, you might just get undressed, you might be undressed for a while, it might be very cold, it might hurt. It's okay, I'll hold your hand, all these things. And none of it is relevant when I come in the room, because I lead by saying, my name is Dr. Chambers. I know that this is probably your first gynecology visit, and most folks come in here either not understanding what this visit is about or what to expect. Let me tell you what to expect. Because I know that my anxiety is built up when I don't know what to expect, right? And so because I'm not going to communicate with this teenager if they're afraid that I'm going to violate them in 20 minutes.
Right.
Like, they're not paying attention. And so I just say, first of all, you don't have to have an exam today if you don't want to. That's number one. And anyone who says you have to have an exam when you don't want to, they're actually lying. Okay? Because consent matters. And consent matters in a doctor's office and outside of a doctor's office. And that's just a part of me trying to teach them the power of consent. And you can't teach someone consent if you don't honor it. And so I start with that. And then I say, so you can tell me, this is what I'd like to get from an exam. I'd like to do this exam. Nothing goes inside, nothing hurts, but you get to tell me what you want. If you can say you want me to examine only the left side of your body. I'm like, okay, girl. You can say only waist up. Or you can say, I don't want to do an exam today, and I won't be any more proud of you, regardless of what you choose. And they're like, huh? And the mom was like, what? And I'm like, yes, that's what medicine should be. And, and you don't even think of it as being revolutionary, but it's what it should be.
Right.
What we all deserve. Yeah.
First of all, I wish you were my doctor during that experience, because it was a very long time before I trusted to go back to another OBGYN for that reason. But also the idea of consent. You can't expect for anyone to understand consent or value the idea of consent if you aren't honoring consent with them.
What? How can you teach that? Like, you can't. And then in the same breath, completely violate it.
Now, I want to have the Ask the Period Doctor section of the program, because I got some questions from my followers and some people in my life who will remain nameless. But I want to start with, what's the most common question you receive as the period doctor?
I think the most common question I actually get is, can I make my period stop? Or can I manage my period? Like, do I have to just be reactive? Is there some proactivity that I can do in this, menstruator period relationship? I think that has to be the most common question I get. And the answer is yes. Partnering with your doctor, you can do a number of things to manage your period, to time your period, to skip periods, to be without a period and suppress it. There's a number of ways in which we do that with medications, and with appropriate monitoring and follow-up. But yeah, those things exist. I do them. I've been exploiting all these things, and managing my period since med school. Because sometimes you just don't have time for that. You just don't have time.
Okay, that's new to me. I did not know that. Are we talking like, oh, I have a trip to Cabo coming up in the next few weeks, I need to manage my period? Or is this like I'm dealing with some type of condition or something where I need to manage my period?
It's both. Mm-hmm. So let's say that you're taking, your regular birth control pills, and there are times where you're going to have a period every 28 days. So if you partner with your doctor and say, hey, I have a vacation coming up, I'd like to skip that period, they can write to say, skip placebo pills for this time period, you just take them later. Or just skip them entirely, and then your next pack you go through your placebo pills. Because the nature, and I think if we talk about this more, when we are kind of giving you hormones and making you have a withdrawal bleed, that withdrawal bleed is not necessary for your health. It's just one of those signs that was kind of built into the nature of most of our birth control, because at the time when it was given, women felt like they had to see a period to know that they weren't pregnant. So this is all just us giving hormone consistently and withdrawing that hormone, and then you have a bleed. It's not a true period. It's not a period preceded by ovulation. It's just a bleed that you're like, and it's not necessary. And so you can take birth control pills completely through and be just fine without any type of medical harm. Even though, you might have some breakthrough bleeding, but yeah, you don't have to have that withdrawal bleeding.
I am just so blown away. At 40 years old, first of all, I'm learning so much about the menstrual cycle, period. No pun intended.
Oh, right. I like that.
I am. I learned stuff today. And then also just having that conversation, the idea of your OBGYN asking, what would you like your period to be like? My mind is completely blown away by the question, but also by the fact that I've been going on vacation for a while, bringing my period with me because she just wants to show up uninvited. Yeah, cool. And I could have been skipping that. So learn from my mistakes, come back community, learn from my mistakes. Dr. Charis Chambers, let everybody know where we can find and follow you.
So you can find me on Instagram, where my major following is, at The Period Doctor. You can check me out on my website, which is www.theperiod.doctor.com, or on Twitter, also at The Period Doctor.
I love it. Dr. Chambers, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you. I always enjoy speaking with you. And to my comeback community, make sure you check out Dr. Charis Chambers, The Period Doctor, at The Period Doctor on Instagram. And for the full podcast, just go to my online home, comeback.tv. I will have more information on Dr. Charis Chambers, The Period Doctor, on the podcast page. Thank you for spending a little time with us, and find and follow her. You will not regret it.